I don't know that Lane would leave for LSU.
I'm not sure Florida's a better job at Ole Miss.
Hire the best guy, not the best name.
Why is Texas favored over Vanderbilt?
Sunday, we cry during our NFL bets.
Oh, Sammy, we should not talk about that game either.
You thought last week was great. Wait till you get a look at this week.
They do not profile like a 10-win team. They profile like 7-win type teams. I can't wait to let 18 to 22 year-olds coach them.
I made a call, today, and I said, look, we actually need the favorite.
Welcome in, everyone, Bear Bets. And let this week be a lesson to everybody out there. Sammy, Geoff, what happened on Saturday? Memphis won. What happened earlier in the week? Ryan Silverfield joined Bear Bets. We're now perfect on the year, as head coaches and players who have joined Bear Bets the week of their game have won. Kirby Smart will look to extend that streak this week, so we look forward to having Kirby on. But guys, Memphis, massive fourth quarter comeback. Clearly, it was on us, right?
It's the Bear Bets podcast. The charm, Sammy. We are the charm. You come on our show, you win your next game. Let that be a lesson to everyone out there.
I feel like we couldn't get LSU's coach on the show this year, Bear.
Yeah, we made an effort for that earlier in the year. I can't remember if it was prior to the Florida game or what, but yeah, Brian Kelly was unable to join us that week and this year, whatever week that was, and now Brian Kelly has been relieved of his duties in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Yet another massive coaching carousel move, a massive job opening up, and I would argue probably the best of the jobs to open up right now. LSU, Florida, Penn State, the big three. I'm sure they're going to be more. Look, I don't know who ultimately they're going to go after and what's going to happen here. It's clear he never really fit in there. The whole fake accent thing early on, we've seen the memes going around. But Geoff, I think the bigger story here is just how the ripple effect with all these other schools now and the coaches that are going to be moving around. That seems to be what we're going to be headed towards, an unprecedented number of job changes.
Maybe it's the college sports radio in me, but Bear, I love this so much.
So do I.
I don't love it for like the coaches and families get displaced. Right. Obviously but like this topic and what this ripple is going to be this offseason is unprecedented in this sport. Think about the Alabama job a couple years ago, right? So Nick Saban retires, Kalen DeBoer leaves, right, from Washington. Jed Fisk goes north. Then Brennan goes a little bit east from San Jose State to Arizona. Then the Navy coach, right, goes, I think he was at UCLA anyways, but goes up to San Jose State. That's just one. That's one, right? Now we're going to have these 12, 15 big jobs, and the ripple effect of coaches going, there's not great hires for every job. And they're going to be coaches that are not ready for the opportunity, but also coaches that we don't know are ready for the opportunity that will get a chance to be a head coach, an OC, a DC. Now the players at LSU have another portal window, right? So with Florida, so all these places. So the player movement, we're going to find out. And look, is Brian Kelly going to coach this year? Well, Franklin coaches here. Well, Napier coaches here. I mean, those are three guys, Sammy, that might not even be part of this process. So that includes another group of coaches that'll get opportunity to be a head coach. So I find this so fascinating of where this all ends up. There could be a frenzy after Thanksgiving to get all these hires done.
Lane Kiffin, his agent, is just going to have a field day during this cycle, right? You just take the Ole Miss, you take the Florida, you take the LSU, and you just pit them all against each other and see who's the most desperate, because nobody's got a better situation than him right now. I mean, Lane Kiffin is the hottest name on the market, and he's still coaching an active team right now. It's wild. And Dave Mason's book has odds up there. He's got Lane Kiffin 4-1 to take the next job. You saw the graphic. Summerall's the favorite. Joe Brady 2-1. Lane 4-1. James Franklin 6-1. Drinkwitz 8. Brom 12. Brent Key 14-1. That first domino is going to dictate so much, and I don't know that Lane would leave for LSU. I don't know, maybe, but John Summerall favored. Interesting.
Brent Key 14-1. Interesting. I'd hire that guy. I mean, he's done an unbelievable job at Georgia Tech with really Haynes King, and that's I don't want to say kind of about it, but that's kind of about it. With Buster Faulkner, the OC, you bring him, that would be interesting. What the other kind of tentacle here is the schools that like Florida State. Oh, we're going to wait until the end of the season and reassess everything. Wisconsin. Oh, we're going to take a thorough review and we back coach. Like, don't these schools feel like they're falling behind a little bit by not making the move now? Again, where they're going to fall in the hierarchy of jobs that are available. But you look at these other schools now, like whether it's Virginia Tech or Oklahoma State, or whoever, like, look, you can have whatever opinion you want of Brian Kelly. He's a good football coach. James Franklin is a hell of a football coach. Some of these schools that are going to be looking for coaches that might have not been the premier job, they might have an opportunity to get a pretty good coach at a little bit of a discounted type level. So it's really going to be interesting to see some of these bigger names that might wind up falling elsewhere.
Well, the LSU and Penn State will hope those coaches get jobs to offset some of the buyouts they're owed, right? I think Brian Kelly, if he gets a job somewhere else, right, LSU won't have to pay the full buyout. The thing about this cycle, I want these ADs, I'm sure they're listening to our show to understand these presidents. Is that look, hire the best guy, not the best name. We say this all the time, but think about the best hire the last 2 years. Curt Cignetti, right? The best hire the last 2 years has been a JMU coach who was at Division II 6 years ago. Yep. And like, so, I know Franklin's good. We know Brian Kelly's good, but like find the right coach, not the big name. You mentioned Lane. Lane's done a great job. I don't know if he wants to leave or not. He'd be a coach that you should go get, but there's a lot of names on this list that I'm not sure, Sammy, are actually fit for some of these jobs. And I hope these schools go digging deep to find the right guy, not just a big name to satisfy your fan base, because that doesn't really work. We've seen that often. It doesn't work to win championships. You got to find a program builder, guy that can recruit, guy that can develop players, and guy that connects the community. Look, Brian Kelly's maybe mortal sin was he shouldn't connect to the community. You don't have to be a Southerner to connect there. Nick Saban connected at LSU. You just have to connect the community, and Brian Kelly just never did that.
Dan Lanning, 66-1, Bear. Take the job at LSU.
Oh, you're being mean to Geoff now.
I guess we're not going to beat Iowa in 2 weeks. I'd bail immediately. So I would get out.
There we go.
I get out as soon as possible. You play one game in a monsoon and everyone jumps off the bandwagon. It's okay. I'll still be here.
You know what the funny thing is like, I'm not sure Scott Woodward, the AD at LSU, survives this either. Like if you look, he put A&M on the hook for 70-something million with Jimbo Fisher. He put LSU on the hook for 50-something million out of Brian Kelly. Like, I can't imagine the board and the administration, whomever, is too thrilled with that. And yet, I'm not sure Lane leaves at Ole Miss. I think I'm not. Look, again, for Florida, I'm not sure Florida's a better job at Ole Miss, especially in college football 2025, 26, and on, where it looks like now, guys, Ole Miss is playoff bound. Massive win this past week. Unbelievable job at plus 11 in time of possession. Ran like 30 more plays, I think it was, at Oklahoma. Really helped his defense out. And when it comes to the playoff, I kind of went over some scenarios last night. Like, is there a kind of this, like we all just assume things, you're going to win out, they're going to be in, they're going to be in. But take a look at the flip, take a look at the contrarian side. Like, is there a bet out there either for a long shot to either make the college football playoff or a contrarian no play to make the playoff? Like, for example, like Houston at 20-1 to win the Big 12, or Pitt to beat Notre Dame and Notre Dame to not make the playoff, stuff like that. That doesn't seem like people would want to bet it, but it really isn't too far-fetched.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly possible. This is a year where we've had a lot of chaos so far. But again, we have just not traditionally seen that, right, Bear? We've not traditionally seen a team like Houston in a playoff like this, and they can certainly get it done. Houston's a good option. I talk about the Big Ten a lot, but like Washington, they could be 10-2 in the win against Oregon and Illinois by the end of the season, Bear. I mean, there's a lot of options because the way this this sport is going this year, Sammy. There's a group of top teams, right? We know Ohio State, Indiana, A&M, Ole Miss, Bama. Those 5 are probably easily in, and then it's a question of like, where do we go from there? And so I think any of these ones are not bad options.
The Memphis price, Bear, we talked about it on Thursday. It was 9-1 to make the playoff, and they beat South Florida. And look at the price now, plus 450. I didn't do it. Maybe some of our listeners did. If they did, good on them. At a number, man, Missouri speaks out, but like Purbuella's probably cooked, right? I mean, we didn't really see anything. Oh, what a great bet that was.
Yeah.
Second and goal at the 3. You got Hardy and you're running Purbuella into the pile. Just like, disaster. Washington at 12-1 though, sort of speaks to me, just given the price, but they have to beat Oregon. That's the bet. You're basically making a 12-1 bet that they can beat Oregon,
which is going to be a hell of a lot better on the money line than you're going to get during the game. Because the thing, remember last year at this the first playoff ranking, I believe Arizona State or Clemson who was unranked. I think it was ASU. It was one of those two teams. We had one team that was unranked last year in the initial rankings that wound up making the playoffs. So maybe they could be that team, because that Oregon win would certainly carry a lot of weight moving forward. So yeah, you just kind of think of some contrarian type options. I mean, maybe Miami gets upset by SMU and Pitt on the road, and maybe they're the no. I mean, there are maybe Oregon loses to SC and maybe they're the no. Like don't just always assume this team's going to win, this team's going to win, this team's going to win, because as we've seen in the past, losses happen. It might not be. Look, I know in the 4-team era, you saw where you were the first week. You're like, oh my God, we're in the playoff, or we need to do this. And then usually that first week after the rankings were come out, you'd see a lot of teams get picked off. The expansion to 12 kind of relieves a little bit of that pressure, but don't be afraid to take a nice plus price on some options that you don't think are going to happen, but might potentially happen. But not a massive week this week. I mean, you got the three ranked matchups, 3, 4, 6, and 10 are idle. We thought we were going to have Ohio State, Penn State be kind of this de facto Big Ten title race elimination. With look ahead line was like 4 before the year. Now Ohio State's laying 20 or 21. So it's a weird week in the sport where we I remember looking back before the year, we thought it's going to be all these ranked matchups, and really don't have a bunch of matchups going on. But speaking of weird weeks, the NFL just continues to just be a hard watch, I guess is the best way to say it. That's the best way. I think
it was rough yesterday.
Tough, yeah. And you put it greatly, saying it like greatly last week, Geoff. Just the gap between the good teams and the bad teams is so large, and the bad teams are really bad, and nothing illustrates that. Like this week, what were the favorites and the overs were like 22-2 against the numbers. So like we had a lot of just ugly games this week, Geoff.
Yeah, look, I've said this before, and it's worth repeating. Like, we have a top of the league, right? Like, we think the top of the league is sort of what, Chiefs, Colts, Lions, Bills. Like, that's sort of, I think the Bills are probably back, but we'll see them. And then we have the bottom of the league, right? Which is the Saints and the Titans and the Raiders as of right now. That's probably the bottom.
And the Jets. Right? Don't forget don't give the Jets. Don't put the Jets out of that area code yet.
39 points in a victory for the Jets there. They actually they did the 2-point play down 8 and it converted and it won them the game. Yeah, bravo analytics. I like that decision by Eric Glenn. But then the thing about it is then we have 27 teams that are 50-50 each week. And that, to me, Sammy, is the most difficult part about picking any game this year, is that in a given week, the Falcons just don't show up at home for the first time all season and get dominated by a Dolphins team that looks completely dead. The Cowboys, right now, their defense is stinky. I get that. But all of a sudden, the Broncos can play offense. They couldn't play offense for quarters at a time. Now, all of a sudden, they're an offensive juggernaut. Every week, it feels like something happens that is unexpected. It's what the league obviously is for so many years, but it just feels like it's more prevalent this year that there's a lot of 50-50 games where whatever team shows up, we can't predict that.
I already know, Bear. You don't even have to tell us. I know who you're betting this Sunday.
Oh,
I know you're taking the Falcons.
I cannot wait to bet the Falcons on Sunday because we're going to get a 6. I hope Penix is back. But I mean, there isn't a person in the world who's going to just want to go to the window and say, give me the Falcons plus the greatest team in the AFC, the New England Patriots, right? I can't wait.
The only thing we can rely on, I think, every week is that Daniel Jones and Jonathan Taylor are going to open up a can on somebody. Taylor has a very realistic chance to break LT's record. He needs 28 to tie, 29 to break. If he gets 30 touchdowns, we're talking MVP, right? We have to.
Yeah. So unfortunately, one of the touchdowns yesterday wasn't a rushing touchdown, which kind of stinks. Like they flipped the ball forward to him and ends up being a passing touchdown. That would be helpful to this discussion. But yeah, I mean, look, Sammy, in a year where the quarterback right now, I know Mahomes is the favorite, Allen's up there as well. We're like Mahomes is playing really well, but isn't an MVP season yet. Mm-hmm. And we often talk about this, right? The team with the 1 seed tends to have the MVP quarterback. Well, if the Colts are the 1 seed, which feels likely at this point, and they have a tougher schedule coming up, obviously, it's not going to Daniel Jones. You could argue that the difference this year is Daniel Jones, not really Jonathan Taylor. But if you rush for 1,800 yards and you have 30 touchdowns, and it's not a year where the quarterback is as good as we've seen in previous years, Bear, Jonathan Taylor for MVP is certainly live. It was 60 to 1. Earlier last week on Tuesday. I think it's now 20 to 1. So people are sort of catching on to that vibe as well.
Yeah, when you brought that up yesterday, Geoff, about the quarterbacks and no one really being a complete standout yet, I was able to get 35 to 1, and I felt good about that. And then I went back and looked again. It did fall to 20 to 1. And I think people are kind of confusing this year and last year a little bit. I mean, not confusing, but like jumbling it a little bit. Like last year, you had Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, who put together superhuman type seasons. Like one of those two guys was going to win. And that's why Saquon Barkley did not win MVP.
Correct.
Because you had two dominant quarterbacks on the two best teams in the AFC. This year, the Chiefs have lost 3 times. The Bills have kind of struggled. Lamar has been hurt. Baker he's gonna tail off. Like that's what makes it different. You could have a record-setting type season for the running back for the Indianapolis Colts, and Daniel Jones appears to have fully put himself behind the Jonathan Taylor for MVP type talk. So if there are still some 20 to 1s out there, look, I know everyone said whatever with AP being the last running back to win MVP, that it's a quarterback award. But it does seem like there is a realistic path here if the Colts can get through some of these games for him to win the MVP.
I also think we don't talk enough about Drake May and how good he's been. He's one of the best deep ball throwers in the NFL right now, statistically. And I was listening to Boston radio this morning. You got to flick it on in the morning, Bear. You got to see what they're talking about. And one of the guys was saying, no, Brady didn't throw it like that in his career.
Oh, God.
Like, all right, here we go. I mean, from a deep ball standpoint, he was just talking about the deep ball, but that was the take on Monday morning in Boston. Drake May throws a better ball than Tom Brady in year number 2.
Give them credit for their record. You've got to. The win in Buffalo on that Sunday night was great. Dolphins, Panthers, Saints, Titans, Browns. Just file that away. One other thing, piggybacking off of, I mentioned Lamar and him being out. Our buddy Will Hill was texting with us beforehand. Certainly not going to be the MVP this year, Lamar, but with him probably coming back soon, you look at their schedule. He made the he made the bets that you can currently get the Ravens at 12 to 1 to win the AFC, 22 to 1 to win the Super Bowl. And those feel like bets to be made, being that the Steelers are certainly not a juggernaut in that division. If the Ravens get healthy and they win the games that they should, and they are in the playoffs, you're getting a team that was power rated 1 or 2 in the league prior to the season, who they're going to have a home playoff game in the wild card round. And then their reward is a likely trip to Indy. And I think people will still have questions about Indy. So 12-1 Ravens AFC, 22-1 to win the Super Bowl. Seems like again, you're betting the number. That seems like a bet that you kind of have to be willing to make, no?
I'd consider it for sure. I don't know that I will get there because the time to bet it was before Sunday. I did bet a little Ravens AFC North. I feel good about that because everybody else lost, including the Steelers. The Steelers have been shredded by Joe Flacco and Carson Wentz this year. Like Carson Wentz threw for what, 350 on Pittsburgh? So enough with the Pittsburgh good defense stuff. The Ravens are winning the division, assuming Lamar stays healthy. So if you get a home game, anything can happen. And then you probably You go to Indy.
Yep.
You win that first playoff game. Then you maybe go to Indy or you go to Kansas City, Buffalo, New England, wherever. There are worse paths for sure, Bear, to a playoff run.
I don't know why they would win the AFC this year after they haven't in previous years.
Because it's the NFL. That's why.
Sure, sure, but it is the NFL. And I understand the point of the value in the Ravens now, but I'm just not betting on the Ravens to win the AFC. That's just, if I'm wrong, I'm sure that we'll play this and look how dumb Schwartz was. Won't be the first time, but I get it. I get the reasoning behind it. But I don't think the Ravens are going to win the AFC.
Well, he's got to stay healthy too, Barrett. That's the problem. I mean, sure, he's coming back, but I mean,
do we know he's supposed to be back this week and he didn't play this week? So we don't know how healthy he really is.
I had a really good bet, Bear. Ravens -6.5. Was that good, CLV? Somehow it won. I don't know how.
Of course it won because CLV doesn't matter. We talked about it many times. Sammy hates it so much. It's when I say that.
Beautiful. I love it. Had all the CLV chasers handle the Bears getting 6.5 and close to the 3. Oh, we got all the.
Well, or how about
and it helped me in last man standing. I can guarantee you that.
We are now 0 for the podcast in Utah Utes CLV. Okay. We have gotten so much information on Utah. It does not matter. Baltimore and Utah, the same thing with their quarterback reporting injuries. No one has any idea. But we know Utah's quarterback was out on Monday and we bet the under and they went over themselves. What does it matter of any information? That's why, I laugh sometimes at some of the stuff that we heard last week with people talking about, sports wagering in regards to some of the indictments we saw in the NBA. Those are separate stories, but the idea that all inside information leads to victories. In gambling, it doesn't. It's nice to have information. It doesn't mean you're going to win every wager.
My buddy had a nice bet. He came in and took Colorado, he thought, at 14.5, and then they ruled out Dampier at the very last minute. He sent me a video. I think his wife was filming him watching the first drive. Bicklin runs for 62, and he just goes, boop. He just turned the game off. He knew it right then. He knew it was dead.
Yeah, that was a quite an atrocious performance by Colorado.
It feels like we're gonna have. It feels like that job will be open too after the season too. I mean, there'll be a lot of jobs open, man. There's gonna be a lot of jobs. No, Colorado.
I don't know.
I do wonder. I do actually wonder if Kyle Whittingham, this is it for him too. I mean, he's been hinting at retirement for years now.
Yeah.
But Morgan Scalley is coaching waiting under contract, so that won't even be open. I think they have to just give him the job. So
is he on the Muschamp coaching waiting plan where coaching waiting at Texas for 10 years and then he wasn't the Texas coach?
I think I've been told it's in his contract that he is the next Utah coach.
Okay.
That's pretty common knowledge there in Utah. I'm against coach and waiting, so I don't really like this all the time, but that's what's happening at Utah.
Yeah, I'm not a fan either. Moving forward to lines we're looking at this week. I got a few. By 9:45 on Monday morning, I had 2 texts already asking me, why is Texas favored over Vanderbilt? And usually you know how that goes. People say Texas lucky to beat Mississippi State. Jeff Banks special teams again bailing the Longhorns out for the second time in 3 weeks. You win in overtime and you wind up getting the push against the I think was a closing number of 7. But people having a hard time coming to grips with Texas being favored by 2.5 at home over Vanderbilt. So that is one I have my eye on to see if that moves or where that goes. Tennessee, only a 3.5 point favorite at home against Oklahoma. I know the Oklahoma offense has been terrible. Their defense kind of got exposed a little bit last week. I don't think Mateer is fully healthy. He threw some balls on Saturday that made like, where is it going? The Vols offense has been unstoppable. I was surprised that this was only 3.5. So I'm curious to see if there's any move there. And then Georgia Tech, NC State under a touchdown, the under 7 points. NC State, that defense is atrocious. Georgia Tech put up a bunch of points this past week, undefeated and steamrolling towards the ACC championship game. NC State looks like dead team walking. Go ahead, play. Georgia Tech wins by 7 against this terrible defense. You're good. So those are 3 numbers I have my eyes out to see if we get any movement with those games this week.
Here's a couple.
Oh, I was say quickly, Arch and concussion protocol.
He's going to be okay. He'll play.
Okay. Oh, he's playing. Okay. Just want everyone to know that for Texas.
They also bet that down. That was 1 this morning, and now it's been bought back a little bit. So Texas did open 3 in Vegas at Circa, got down to 1, and now you're seeing 1.5, a couple 2s. But the early push did come on Vandy. This line to me, it just makes me laugh because in the summer, the game of the year line that they all put out in Vegas, this number was 3.5, Bear, and now it's 20.5. It's Ohio State, Penn State. I don't think I would take the points. I don't.
No.
How are they going to score?
It's 10.5 right now, their team total. I looked up. It's 10.5. I don't think they get to 10.5 unless they make the case that off a bye they have a magical like opening drive and score 7, and then just sort of, I don't know, get to another touchdown. I don't know what the path is to 10.5 to 10 and really 11 points. I don't see it.
Well, unless Ryan Day starts kicking 70-yard field goals at half that get blocked and taken back.
Don't start that again.
I mean, that's the only way that they're going to score. The other game, I think we like this one together, Geoff. It's USC. I know you love going against USC. If you want to meet the physicality, you bet Nebraska +7, no? I mean, this number is now 7 basically everywhere.
Okay, so I'm gonna steal this from Bear, who I'm sure will say it again this week, but from Bear's email. Bear sends a nice email every Monday morning to us. So this, I'll give you credit for this one. You've repeated this many times. Under Lincoln Riley, USC has been a favorite away from home 16 times. They have covered just 3, and 2 of those were in the Rose Bowl versus USC. The other was at Stanford. So outside of California, they have not covered any of these games. That's 0-12 outside of California, including Illinois this year, and a touchdown at Nebraska at night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Oh, I +7. I'm all on this one. I don't get it. I don't get it. Sammy, what do you make this game? Because SP makes this like 2. I don't get this number.
4.5.
And that's including the home field, or
yeah. I mean, it's shaded a little bit, but I don't think it should be 7.
7 seems rather ridiculous. I know Nebraska is what they are. They have lulls, ups and downs. Like they're up big against Northwestern, and then it's like Sammy, we should not talk about that game either. That was.
It was 7-6 at half, or was it 10-6?
No,
at
7-6.
half?
7-6. It was 7-6.
And then they take the kickback, and then the interception creates the other touchdown, and you're just like, well, there's a loser.
Yeah. So
by the way, Bear, if I ever bring up the word Toledo on this show, please kick me.
That was you fell victim there because didn't they wind up closing favored to move back across 0? Yeah, like that's another death knell right there. Like short dog flips across 0. That's DOA.
So 2 games I'm eyeing. I don't know if I want to step in for the Indiana freight train that's happening right now, but a fairly interesting game at Maryland this weekend, and sort of not a letdown spot, but off a big noon kickoff game. I believe Penn State's the week after for Indiana, which is they're still Penn State. They're still Penn State, still a big game. Maryland can rush the passer. Like they can rush the passer, and they have a very active defense. Can they score in this game? I don't know, Bear, but I'm going to explore 21.5 in this game for Maryland. The last one is Illinois. Sammy's squad against Rutgers. I think Illinois probably pounds Rutgers this weekend. That's 12 right now. We'll see what this number closes. The team total over for Illinois might be worth it here. So those are the games I'm looking at. Also, Arizona's laying I think 4.5 on the road at Colorado. I don't know what to make of Colorado. I don't know, man. No one's gonna be.
I can't lay that. I couldn't lay that.
I just don't know. I don't know if Colorado is dead, man. They might just be dead. I don't know. Who knows? But I'm looking at Arizona just briefly. We'll see.
That feels like dog or pass there. I can't lay 4.5 with Arizona. They aren't any good.
Better than Colorado though.
Yes, it is. It is Colorado, but they somehow found a way to lead BYU in the fourth quarter, beat Iowa State. So might just write that off. Look, we've seen a lot of one-offs this year in terms of team play. Alabama at Florida State, Miami against Louisville. That was certainly one last week. I mean, teams just for whatever reason have no-show type week. So see if CU can bounce back as a short home dog. I'll have my eye on that. Thanks, Geoff. Thanks, Sammy. You know the rest of the schedule all week long. Thursday, college football pod. Kirby Smart will join us, looking to extend our coach's winning streak. NFL will be out there later that day, Friday morning. Friday, Bruce and the Bear. Saturday, big noon kickoff. So.
And Sunday, we cry during our NFL bets.
That is clearly the highlight of the week is just the NFL slate on Sunday. If you thought last week was great, wait till you get a look at this week.
Oh, this week's bad. Ooh, baby.
So for Geoff, for Sammy, I'm Bear. Thanks for rate, review, subscribe. Apple, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. Remember, less you bet, more you listen, we win.